Hey there, Chris Cannell with ActorBasics.com. So today I want to talk to you about the question, how do you get started in acting? Now, here's the deal. Recently, I came across a fellow actor friend who was saying, why don't you just give the information away for free? Why don't you just tell them, your fellow actor exactly how to get started and what to do, without charging them for it or anything like that. Now, here's the thing, two things. A is, number one, that's a really long conversation. Number two is, the truth is that we don't really value and are not really willing to act on, consumer psychology shows us, that which we get for free. We actually, consumer psychology shows, have to have some investment in our education to value it the most and be the most willing to take action. So that's why I charge something for the course, though I've tried to make it as affordable as possible while allowing you to make some investment in your career. Now, that said, number two is, I'm perfectly willing to tell you exactly how to get started acting for free, and I'll do it right now. Here's the deal, all right? Number one is, you need a profile and an account on lacasting.com. That's primarily the site that you use for submitting to commercials. And you don't need an agent to get started. All you need is a profile. Two is www.actorsaccess.com. Same deal. Get an account, create a profile on actorsaccess.com, and without an agent, you can begin self-submitting for all sorts of projects that they have on that site. Now, in order to have the profiles on those sites, you're going to need a few things. Number one is headshots, right? So you're going to need headshots. Two is, you're going to get the most from them, you're going to need some reel clips at some point. You don't have to have that right away. You could submit to stuff without them, but you'll eventually want some reel clips to get more responses. C is, you're going to need a resume. You need some credits. And usually that includes, initially, because you haven't done anything, training and where you're training. But that's all you need, is those two sites, profiles on those two sites to get started. Now, within that, there's a lot of questions that come up right away for most people. Headshots, for example. Oh, I need headshots. Well, where am I going to get headshots? Well, that's a good question. I mean, there's a shit ton of different places you can get headshots, that's for sure. Put, headshots LA in Google and see what happens. Same with classes. Okay, all right, so I'm going to need some classes so that I have that on my resume. Where should I take classes? Oh, that's a good question too. There's a lot of different kinds of classes. There's a lot of different teachers within those different kinds. Which should you take? What order should you take them in? That's a longer conversation in both cases, about the headshots, about the classes. Then we get into the resume. Well, speaking of the resume, how do you format a resume? That information's out there. It's on the web. You can just research that. Same with how to find good headshots. Same with how to find good classes. All this information is out there. And getting into casting director workshops, getting into how do you get an agent. How do you get an agent? You do a mailer campaign. You get a list of agents from Samuel French, and you can just send them postcards. That's one way. There's a free way right there. How do you, casting director workshops, there's loads of those, So the point is, it's just a lot of information. And that's why I felt like there was a need for a course, because when I was in your shoes, or a newcomer myself, it was completely overwhelming to me. It was like, where do I even start with this crap? And I did. Now, I was a person who got into action at least, and I did start, but I screwed a bunch of stuff up along the way and made some embarrassing mistakes and wasted a ton of time and money. So I decided, and by the way, I did all that using the free information that's out there. There's a ton of free information, but a lot of it is murky. So what I've created is, what I set out to create was something that helped the next guy or girl to not have to deal with that pain and frustration that I did, but rather takes all that stuff, that free information that's out there, and Add to that my own personal experience from trying some of that stuff and put it into a real neat and easy course, right? It takes you tells you what you need to know right now. Because there's a lot of stuff that you don't need to know right now. It's just extra stuff in your head that you don't need to get to until a little later. And so we put that a little later in the course. So that's why I created the course the way I did. I think that there's value there because it takes all that stuff out there, all that information that's free, and digests it down into an easily consumable format that you can go through step by step and you can come back to and keep moving forward. And it takes you, along the way at your own pace. So there's value in having all that put together for you, A. And B, it's done at an affordable rate because the price of the course is $97. I mean, that versus one crappy round of headshots or, trying one type of class that you would figure out later, oh, that's really not for me right now. It was just not worth it. $97 versus having good information at your fingertips right now helps you cut through all the crap. So I just gave you the free information for my friends out there who are like, you should give this away for free. It should be a utopian society. Nobody should have to pay for anything in this world. Cool. Absolutely. I agree. And I try to give away a lot of free content. So if you want to get started on your own, LA Casting, Actors Access, those are the two main sites you need profiles on. You just need to come up with headshots and all the other stuff necessary for populating your profiles on there. Now, if you need some help figuring out the best ways to do that and training and all that, well, then I've got a course that helps you with that stuff. And I think it's a great deal for what it is. And it'll get you started off on the right path. So, but if you don't need that, that's cool too. I mean, a lot of people out here don't use a course to get started. They just wade through all the crap and figure it out and waste time and money and energy figuring it out, but they figure it out. You can do that too. But if you prefer not to and you want something to get you there a little faster, then there's a course for $97 that'll do that and, help you to go around some of the mistakes, hopefully, that I and some of the others made along the way. So there's some good free information for you. Do with that what you will, and we'll see you out there on the audition trail.